want to be sharing with you in this video how to heal your past and shift into a new reality. And that sounds like an interesting thing to say, like shift into a new reality, but it really is true in a way, because if you can redefine your past in a certain way and see it from a different perspective, you can actually completely shift your past as if you don't need to recreate that past anymore in the present, right? Because that's a problem that people have, is that they live in the present, but they're carrying the burden of the past in the present moment. And the truth is that you don't need to do this. And I'm going to be sharing with you in this video exactly how to stop doing this, so that instead you can shift into a new reality and become the person that you prefer to be instead. And the first thing that I want to share with you in this video is to understand that, number one, the first thing that you can do to heal your past and shift into a new reality is simply to take action. Just take action, because if you can simply just take action, what you'll find is that a lot of the times, a lot of the pain of the past that you carry comes from just not taking action. That because when we overthink and we're not doing things, we think even more. When we're not doing something and we're thinking, it creates more thinking. So the key sometimes is to stop thinking and just to take action. Now, when you say something like that, I can see how that can be misinterpreted as, okay, well, then don't be wise, don't think about my actions. That's not what I'm encouraging and inviting any human being to do, is to be unwise and to not think about the actions that they take. That's not what I'm inviting and encouraging you to do in this video. But what I'm inviting and encouraging what I'm inviting and encouraging you to do is simply to understand that part of healing your past is to take action. Like, if you're not willing to take action and to do something in your life and to just take action, to be an action-oriented person, I think it's going to be hard to heal. And I think that sounds possibly contradictory to a lot of the advice, a lot of the advice that you might hear, because, somebody might encourage you to feel fully into your emotions. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that any person should not feel their emotions fully. I'm not saying to not be fully conscious of every single moment. You should be conscious of every emotion and feel every experience fully in your life. Every experience should be fully experienced in your life. Shouldn't it? Shouldn't you not fully experience that experience fully, 100%, including the emotion and everything that's coming into your experience? Shouldn't we fully feel that emotion? But the truth is that that doesn't need to contradict taking action, okay, and just moving forward into a different reality. Just simply to take action, because look, you can feel emotions, you can feel pain, you can feel the burden of the past, and you can feel a lot of things that are wrong, but you can still take action. And I'm not saying to run away from your emotions and to take action instead of feeling your emotions. I'm saying you can do both. Okay, so you can do both. And in fact, I'm also going to take it one step further and say that part of healing is to take action. Like, sometimes to just forget about the problem and just to take action, I think can be part of the solution. And I know that sounds interesting to say it in that way, because it might sound like I'm saying to not feel your emotions, but I want to give you clarification to say that's not what I'm saying. By no means should you, I don't want anybody to take what I'm saying and to take the idea that taking action and then not focusing on pain and not focusing on the burden of the past and the negative emotions that you're feeling somehow contradicts feeling them fully. It's just that there's two different stages that you go through in a healing process, which is that in one phase, you're fully feeling the emotion. In another phase, you decide to get over it and you take action. You simply take action. And so I want to invite and encourage you to think about something. Once you're already taking action and you're no longer feeling the pain, is it possible that you're already healed fully in that moment? That's what it means to be a healed person, is to no longer carry the burden of the past in this present moment. Now, let me ask you this. If you somehow get to a present moment state where you're no longer feeling the pain of the past, haven't you succeeded? Isn't that what true healing possibly is? And again, there's different perspectives that people can have, and I understand that there's, a lot of different experiences that people can have. But at the end of the day, this is just one way to look at it, and it's just one experience. It's just one way to look at it, right? Sometimes healing might be to fully feel it into the emotion. Sometimes it might mean letting it go and just doing something, whatever it is. The second thing that I want to share with you in this video is to understand that part of healing is to focus on moving forward. That's what it means to heal, I think. I think part of healing is to understand that you got to move forward into a new life. You know, whatever it is that you're healing from, whether it's a bad relationship that you've experienced in the past, whether you've lost a lot of money in your life, whether some serious loss in your life, whatever it is, whatever is causing you pain and misery and suffering, at some point, you're going to have to make a choice to say, you know what? Here's the pain. Here's the suffering. I accept it. I acknowledge it. I love it. I, even in a sense, allow it. It's okay for it to be there. But then what's next? What's the next step? Where is your journey going to go next? And that's, I think, part of healing. We need to respect that part of healing. I think we need to respect the part of human nature where healing means we're no longer going to focus on the pain. We're going to choose to be something different instead. And that's part of what it means to be a human, I think, is to fully honor the human experience means, I think to fully honor the human experience, means that at some point you're going to have to accept the past as it is. I'm not saying to forget the past. I'm not saying that somewhere deep in your consciousness and deep in your being that you've completely forgotten that pain. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that you can't bring it up or have that wisdom within you, that pain that makes you not make the same choices in the future. I'm not saying that that wisdom is going to be gone. I'm not saying that all that stuff that you learned and all that pain, you're just going to forget about it and pretend like it's not there. Oh, it doesn't exist anymore. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying like, oh, it doesn't exist and you don't need to look at it, and if you don't look at it, it doesn't exist, and then just forget about it completely. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that the truth is that, you can remember it, but you don't need to create that pain in the present anymore. You can just simply be in the present, be at peace, remember the pain, remember the past, but choose to not allow yourself to attach to it. And so for me also, though, that sometimes means not talking about it and just taking action and doing more and focusing on moving forward into the new life that I prefer instead. Because sometimes the past is not going to help you get there, right? Sometimes the past is only creating a gap between who you want to be. It's just creating a gap between, that person that you want to become, and it's not supporting you. In life, I think that we should always look towards things that are supporting us. Whether it's a thought process, whether it's a person, whether it's some kind of regimen or, protocol in your life, whatever that entails for you, right? I think the key is to remember that you should just do what works and let go of what doesn't. And that sounds simple, but it's like we often do things, I think, that don't serve us and that we don't really need to do. And that sounds general to say it in that way, because it's like, well, what do you mean that's so general? But it's true, because like you need to just sometimes take that pain and say, you know what? I'm just going to get over it. This isn't serving me anymore. This pain, this idea of thinking about it, or whatever opinion I have about this situation, or happened 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 20 minutes ago, right? Whatever it is, like at some point we're going to say, you know what? It's okay for that to be the case. Let's just move forward anyway. And I want you to I want you to think about, and again, I invite and encourage you again to think about, like, maybe that's what healing is. Is it possible that healing is moving forward, or at least a big component of it, or a cycle of it, is to move forward into a new world and to make that choice? And what if that's up to you? What if it's up to you how long you want to be in pain and suffering when it comes to some past negative experience? What if you took back your power and said, you know what? It's up to me to choose a new life right now. It's up to me to say, you know what? I don't need to attach to this pain or be that person that I thought I had to be. I can be something else. And so, I want to conclude this video with one final idea, which is an interesting idea, probably a very controversial idea, but nonetheless, I'm going to talk about it, which is, is it possible that our future is grounded upon pain? And that sounds interesting. Hear me out here for a second. Is it possible that pain creates the future? Now, what do I mean by that? Well, look at your future and what you want to create. Look at, your vision right now, and then compare that to some contrasting experience to, why do you want that vision? Why do you want that vision so much? Like, whatever that vision is to you, whether it's more money, whether it's to fix something in your relationships and whatever kind of relationships you're in, whether it's a business relationship or whatever kind of relationship, whatever you want to tweak or fix or change in your life. Not to say that there's anything wrong with it, but to whatever vision you have, something different that is not where you are now. Is it possible that the pain of the past is always defining the future? And that's not such a bad thing, because if you can fully accept that and you can allow that, you can actually use this to your advantage and say that, you know what, maybe that pain of what you experienced is what's going to drive you to never go through that situation again, to create a better future. And that's fine. Is it possible that that's what wisdom really actually is? To go through that pain. Not that you had to go through the pain, but if you already did, why not use it as a resource that's going to help you to create a better future? See, pain can either define you, or you can use it to your advantage and say, you know what, I'm not going to allow this pain to define me. I'm going to see that pain. I'm going to allow the pain, but only to the degree that I can see that pain and define it in a different way, so that I can define my identity in a different way and become a different person instead. I think that if you do this, you're going to find yourself in a much more powerful position to create the life that you actually want to see happen right now. And with that, I conclude